Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Three Rivers Viator. I actually have now gotten to spend some real time with this thing, and I've been using it a whole lot, and I feel qualified to give you a full review of it. It is a very cool knife, as I said, from Three Rivers Manufacturing out of Massachusetts. Very cool company, all USA made. They used to make, I guess still do make, a lot of parts for other knife companies. Now they've started making their own things a couple years ago, and they make some pretty cool knives. This is my favorite. This is what is my favorite category, what I like to call ultra-modern slip joints. This is a slip joint non-locking knife, but it has every little modern touch you could want. There is no attempt to give homage back to other classic traditionals like a lot of other modern traditionals do. This is just their own thing, and it's a really cool knife, and it has one really killer feature that we will get to shortly, which is probably the most important feature on a knife. All right, let's talk a bit about the stats on this before I get too much farther. By the way, there's also an unboxing video on this if you want to see that. Also, I'll link to it down below. Again, these are half-inch squares. You have an overall length of dead on 7 inches. Blade length right at 3 inches. Right at 3 inches. I know another reviewer complained because he thought it was a bit over and for legal purposes, but I can't find a way to measure it that it's not 3 inches, so maybe his measurements are just more accurate than mine, or mine are more accurate than his. I don't know. Let's move on from that. You have a cutting edge of 2 3/4 inches. Blade thickness, very, very slim, 0.09 inches. Very slim, thin little blade. You have a handle width, or handle thickness, of 0.38 inches according to my measurements. And you have it configured for right hand, left hand carry. You have a CPM 154 blade and a starting price of $140. I'm getting into one of the party tricks about this. It's not my favorite thing about this knife, but it is a nice little feature they have about this knife. This one is not $140. This one is more like $184 because it has carbon fiber scales, which are super easy to change, and a titanium backstrap. The scales are easy to change because you don't need to remove this pivot to change them. It's 3 screws each, well, 3 screws on one side, 6 screws on this side because you have to remove the pocket clip, and they just come right off. I ordered it with 3 different sets of scales. Its base configuration scales, I will admit I have not used yet, but I will. Where did I put them? Here they are. Would be G10. It comes in several different colors of G10. I chose the natural jade G10. The scales I've actually been using on it the most, I don't have on at the moment because I wanted to use the flashy carbon ones for the review, but are these nice micarta scales. This particular color you can't get right now, but they do have a Blade HQ exclusive version that has another different color of micarta on it. These are really, really nice. Just nice, pretty done. So the carbon's done pretty well too. It's a little shiny and flashy for me, but they are very well made. I can't argue with that, and they are solid carbon. But it's designed to be customized. I really like that. It's designed to personalize and customize. You can mix and match the colors of on the base one. It's got a G10 backspacer, so you can mix and match that color. You can order this titanium bronzed. You can get the clip bronzed. You can get all kinds of really cool stuff on them. There's so many options. But the most expensive you're going to pay for is pretty much this. I think they charge a couple bucks more for the bronzing, but other than that, this is the most you're going to pay is about $184, $190 for it. And the quality of it really feels like it's worth that. This does have the feel of a custom. It definitely, in my hand, it reminds me of any of the customs I've handled, like a mid-tech or a custom is definitely what it feels like. It's not exactly that, but it is pretty low production, made in the USA, so it makes sense that it would feel like that. But it is very, very well done. The fit and finish is just so nice. And even taking these scales on and off a bunch of different times, everything is still super flush. Everything lines up great. It's really, really, really well built. I'm extremely impressed with the build quality on it. A unique little feature of this, as I said, it is a slip joint. But as you can see, it doesn't have a solid back spring. It's split in two in this titanium frame. Very nice. There's no spring in there, so you can't really adjust the tension at all. But it works great. It works really, really well, and it looks cool. And so you can, a nice little thing, you can blow stuff out of there if you want to, which is always really good. Very, very cool knife. Let's get into some size comparisons here. I got off track for a minute. Show you some other stuff. We'll start out with another ultra modern slip joint. The only other one that I have that I would put in that category. This is a Kaiser zip slip. As you can see, it's just a little bit bigger than the zip slip is. You have some other slip joint stuff. We'll compare it to the Lion Steel round head, a much more traditional, modern traditional. Quite a bit bigger than that. And one that's quite popular right now that a lot of you probably have or have at least seen, the Benchmade Proper. Alright, and now we'll do a couple of consistency ones just so you guys know against other stuff that you might not have around, or that you might actually have around, I mean. You have your Ontario Rat Model 2. Pretty similar in overall length to a Rat Model 2, maybe a little bit longer. And your Spyderco Delica 4. Pretty similar in overall length to Delica 4 also. Now, my favorite thing about this knife is not being able to change the colors at will. I kind of thought that would be my favorite thing about it when I got it. And it is fun, don't get me wrong. But my favorite thing about this knife is the thing that makes it a knife. This blade is, wow. It's the sharpest knife I've ever gotten out of a box. I know I've said that a lot in reviews lately, but I've had a good run of knives that were really sharp out of the box, and they just keep getting more and more so. This is super sharp out of the box, absolutely. That 0.9 inch blade thickness and the full flat grind all the way to the top. This is just a slicing machine. It is definitely becoming my favorite slicer. If I gotta cut open boxes, and I had to build a few bikes the other day, which involves a lot of cutting cardboard and cutting boxes and hacking through zip ties and things like that. This was absolutely my first choice. It just goes through them like butter. And it cuts so well, I don't care that it's a slip joint, because it just slices right through everything. I really love this blade. I cannot express to you how much I love this blade. 154 steel is perfectly fine with me. It's easy enough to sharpen. I have not had to sharpen it yet, and I put this through quite a bit. I stropped it once, and that was it. And it took a strop super well and went right back to just as sharp as it was out of the box. I don't think I'll ever make it sharper than it was out of the box. I don't think I have the skills to do that. This thing is super sharp. It even has a warning. It comes with a nice little pouch here. I've actually got it here. I'll show it to you. It comes with this nice little pouch, and inside that pouch, oh, it's sticking out. Inside that pouch is this little warning label that says, "Caution, extremely sharp." They're not kidding. It is extremely sharp. It is very much extremely sharp. Definitely. Heed that warning. Comes with some Loctite, their little card, and their warranty, which is pretty comprehensive. I do like that it says some modifications may void the warranty. They're not worried about you doing stuff to it. So that's because it's meant to. You can't make it available with scales that you can get and expect people not to modify. And also scales that are pretty cheap. These micarta ones were $22. The G10 was $15. It comes with another set of screws and all that. Really good price. I assume they rarely sell them without people buying extra scales. I would. That's what I did. I got it with multiple ones because you can change it. So why wouldn't you? Ergonomically, it's also really good. I'm not as big a fan of the carbon. The carbon is a bit slippery. The carbon's not my favorite. But both the G10, I haven't put the G10 on it yet, but just feeling them, they're pretty grippy. The micarta is kind of in the middle. But the shape of it's really good. It fits in my hand really well. Definitely get all 4 fingers on there. This choil you can't really use. That's just a sharpening choil. You can't really use that. The pocket clip doesn't cause any hot spots at all. It is a very slim handle thickness, but it works well. Yeah, I really do like the ergonomics of this. It's a very good working user kind of knife. And the way that they put it, the way your hand wants to rest on this is exactly the way that you want it. So we're going to skip ahead and not do the categories in exactly the same order I do, because as I said, this is a slip joint, but the way that you're probably going to put your hand on it, it's pretty hard to catch your finger on. It's going to come down like there, and it's not going to get you. So that's a good thing, because as I said, this knife is super sharp. And yes, that cut on my finger is from this knife. I will explain why. This has a very stiff back spring, which a lot of people will really like. I would compare it to one of the stiffer GEC back springs is how I compare it, maybe even a bit more. It is a very stiff back spring. It does take some significant effort to pull it out. This is a pinch grip open. This is definitely not a one-hand open slip joint. Definitely two hands. And I usually wind up closing it two hands also. There is a half stop, but as I learned the hard way, if you try and one-hand close it, like on a GEC or something like that, or on even like the proper, I'll close it, you know, with just my hand anywhere and count on the half step catching it. But you have to push so hard on this. I've learned if you one-hand close it, you do it like this, moron. You don't do it like that because you're stupid. It's just really easy to push past that half stop. You see, I just did it there. It's really easy to push past the half stop because you have to put so much effort on it to close it. So I either two-hand close it or, you know, close it like this. I'm probably about 50-50. So do keep that in mind. Make sure your fingers are out of the way. You can one-hand close it like this if you make sure your finger is way up here. I do close it like that sometimes too, and then it's fine. But you just want to make sure your fingers aren't way down here in the blade path. You will get chopped because this thing is super sharp. I had actually this tiny little cut. I did that doing something else, and I had a Band-Aid over it, and this cut was through a Band-Aid. I chopped myself with it, so it is sharp. It's very, very sharp, but that's not always a bad thing. Just be aware, especially if you haven't had a slip joint before. You can get bit sometimes. The carry on this thing is really, really good. I'm not a fan of the looks of this pocket clip. I'm a fan of it aesthetically overall. Other than that, I love the shape of it. I think it looks really cool. I love the shape of that blade, especially when it's got these micarta scales on here. We'll just place them over there so you can see. I love that look. I think it's very classy looking. It's very cool looking. I love everything about it aesthetically, except that pocket clip is just kind of dingy finished titanium, and it's short. I don't know. I just don't like it very much. It's very kind of blank, kind of bleh. But it works well. I can't complain about that. Not much of it sticking up out of your pocket. Just those three little screws. Yeah, it's aesthetically, I think it looks great. I think it carries super well. It's so slim in your pocket. It is very light. It's 2.7 ounces. 2.7 ounces. That's not bad at all for a 3-inch blade knife. That's pretty darn good. Very, very happy with the weight and the way it carries. And it does, your hand does slide by it very well. There's nothing really to catch on anything because it's a slip joint. So there's nothing sticking out, nothing to really catch at all. As I said, the action's a bit tight on it. Overall impressions, I really like this. And this is the best endorsement I can give of this. I've got, I don't know, 60 knives around. And the last few days, I've had to be doing a lot of quote-unquote work, you know, where I'm cutting cardboard and not super heavy-duty stuff, but cutting a lot of zip ties, cutting a lot of cardboard, cutting a lot of stuff. And this is the knife I kept finding myself grab, even though it's a slip joint, even though it's stuff that you say, oh, you don't really want to do anything heavy-duty with. This blade is just so good that I don't care that it's a slip joint. And that heavy back spring, yeah, you got to be careful when you're closing it. Absolutely. But once you're used to it, it's not a dangerous thing at all. You just got to know how to do it properly. It's a knife that if you hand to somebody, you might want to have them hand it back to you to close it. I will say that. But the upshot is that back spring is so stiff, I don't worry about this thing in use. I don't worry about it closing on me at all. And like I said, in use, your finger's going to be in the way, or up there in the way, and you're not going to get cut. It's just when you're, you know, closing it, if you're stupid like me, you might get cut. But other than that, this is just a really, really good working knife. Irregardless of the fact it's a slip joint or not, it's a great working knife. And kudos to Three Rivers for that. And the price, especially in the base version, $140, not bad at all. I mean, I think you're getting more work capability than you are, you know, in a Benchmade proper. And a Benchmade proper is $115. So that's, what's that, $25 difference? I think you're getting a whole lot more than $25 better with this as far as just really working. This is a knife that's not only a slip joint, it's going to be legal in most places. It also can really, really get some stuff done. So high praise to this Viator. It's probably one of my favorite knives I reviewed this year. It's definitely in the top 3 anyway. I just love that blade so much. And that's why we buy knives, is for the blade, right? And that's the best feature of this knife. Even though it has the cool party trick, being able to switch all the stuff around, they didn't rely on that. Just this blade is so good. They also make a smaller slip joint. I'm getting tempted to get one of those now because I like this so much that now I want to get one of those. They make a few flippers too. I'm going to try those out eventually. But those designs didn't appeal to me as much as the Viator does. So this is the first one that I got my hands on. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more stuff out of Three Rivers in the future. I am thoroughly impressed. Hope you guys have had a good one. See you later.